Welcome to Mystika Mornings, the spiritual podcast that will guide you on a journey of inner transformation and discovering your soul self. I'm McKeely, your host and Mystika mentor. If you are ready to begin living a radically authentic life and break free from your cocoon, grab your favorite beverage, light some incense, get comfy, and let's dive in together. Hello, beautiful soul. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Mystika Mornings. Today's episode is very different. I actually am going to be sharing a voice memo that I recorded while driving in my car this past weekend. And, there's a little bit of chaos throughout it, talking about a couple of different things, but I just felt really called to share this because this was me speaking my truth in that moment. And I know that what I said in that is going to be so powerful for someone listening to this. And I don't want to discredit the wisdom that I share just because, there's background noise. I'm driving. You can hear the blinkers, yada, yada, yada. So I ask for your grace, as the audio may not be the best. But before we get into today's episode, I would love to do a card pull for us all. We are moving out of this full moon in Virgo energy, and it was heavy for a lot of people. I had a lot of conversations with a lot of women that had some shadows come up last week, that felt some struggle, that felt resistance. And if that was you, just know that you are not alone, because there were a lot of people collectively feeling that energy. And with the full moon in Virgo, it was all about releasing, negative self-talk, releasing prioritizing others instead of yourself, releasing limiting beliefs, conditioned thought patterns that don't serve your highest self, and then really prioritizing self-care and putting yourself first. So I just hope you had a great weekend, and let's get into this card pull before we get into today's episode. I'm pulling from my Spirit Animal Oracle deck, so whatever animal spirit wants to come forward, they can make themselves known. We actually got 2 here, and both of them are actually in reverse. So we got the first one is the electric eel, and the reverse message with the electric eel is that ideas really need time to percolate. You rarely have this download and have it all figured out. Like, very rarely does someone get a download and have steps 1 through 100 figured out. It takes time. It takes sitting with it and speaking about it and journaling on it for those details to form. But that doesn't mean that the epiphany that you received is any less important. Dreams, they take these different forms, and a lot of times they end up being even better than we first imagined when we allow, our intuition to guide us, and we allow our dreams to morph into something else that's even better than that original dream, even better than our own predetermination that we had for that dream. So maybe your big idea is taking more time to shape than you expected. Have you ever considered that you aren't meant to learn something in the process of bringing it into being? Commit to transformation. Commit to learning any lessons that whatever new venture, whatever new epiphany, whatever new dream you're following, commit to learning whatever lessons that venture will bring. Because soon you will see that the end result is so much more powerful, so much more electrifying than you even first thought possible. And the second card that we pulled in reverse is the lizard. And the lizard is all about dream the world into being. It's about allowing your imagination to run wild and to dream up whatever your mind and your heart desires. But have you ever had a dream that just went crazy, or a dream that was a nightmare? Whatever dream you had in the past can change today. Just like with the electric eel, the messages are so similar. That dream that you had in the past that went sideways, that didn't come to fruition the way that you thought, and maybe it did fail. Maybe it was a harder lesson where you had to learn to release that and let go of that vision. But don't let that hold you back. Don't let that past lesson, that past quote-unquote failure, stop you from dreaming again. Wake up from the perception that everything is wrong. This lizard spirit is asking you to open your eyes and to consciously dream a better dream. What would it look like to already have what you desire and be the one you wish to be? If you could be your soul self and you already had all of your desires, what would that look like? How might it feel to work towards co-creating a new dream into reality in the world of the senses, drawing it out of the world of dreams and building it into the world of form? In order to do that, in order to take this thought to a dream, to an action plan, to a reality, you have to open up and trust in your ability to dream again. Because that dreaming phase is so important. Getting epiphanies and sitting with them, or getting divine downloads and sitting with them and allowing them to change and morph and transform over time is so beautiful, especially if you have control issues, especially if you always try to get things to go a certain way. If it doesn't go according to plan, you get anxious and overwhelmed. If that's you, then really take this message to heart that dreams are meant to morph, right? Because every day we change and we grow and we evolve. So it would be silly of us to think that our dreams don't do the same. Because how can a dream that I had when I was 25 still be a dream that is 100% in alignment with my 30-year-old self? It's not going to be, because I am not the same person at 30. I'm not going to be the same person at 30 that I was at 25. So allow your dreams to become even juicier, to become even more delicious, to become even more desirable for you. And with that very powerful message about dreaming and transformation, let's get into today's episode. And I hope that something in this episode really resonates with you today. And without further ado, let's get into it. So I was driving down the road listening to a podcast, and I just want to share the wisdom that I'm gaining from this podcast, along with all of the additional downloads that I'm receiving from Spirit. And I just want to start this by sharing some real rawness with you all. This past week has been really challenging for me. And I knew going into this past week that it was going to be. I even brought it up during my coaching session, and we created this toolbox of all of these amazing things that I could do, podcasts I can listen to, books I could read, breathwork practices I could implement for myself. And yet when things started happening and I started spiraling and I started feeling more and more down and depressed, I didn't lean into the things. I didn't lean into my toolbox. And it wasn't because I didn't remember them, because I remember saying at one point that I know what I need to do. I just can't bring myself to do it. And I want to talk about that for a second, because I think in this spiritual world, in the spiritual collective or the personal development niches, it's really preached that you have the awareness and you shift out of it. And a lot of people act like, a lot of leaders try to act like you shouldn't feel those negativities, the negative emotions, that you should have the awareness that you're spiraling, stop yourself, and immediately go back up. But through this past week of really hitting that wall, really, spiraling down and feeling all of these quote unquote negative emotions, I've come to realize that we can't be appreciative of the highs without experiencing the darkness of the lows. In order for us to fully embrace this human experience, we have to ride those waves. We have to feel the highs, and we have to go through the lows. And if you're not going through the lows and you're just immediately shifting out of them, you're not gaining the fullest experience of this human life. And obviously, yes, at some point you have to show up and work through things. You can't stay stuck in that negative frequency, that negative vibration for your entire life. I mean, you can, but 10 out of 10 would not recommend, right? But it's really about feeling what you need to feel and then slowly beginning to work through things. And that's how my past week has been. Monday is when I had the call and I could feel it coming. Tuesday, I was still working, I was still doing things, and I was beginning to feel the negativity creeping in, the darkness creeping in. By Wednesday, I had fully taken over. Thursday, I was still in it, but near the end of the day, I was working towards overcoming it. And then Friday and Saturday were really up and down days for me. And instead of beating myself up and, being hard on myself and staying stuck in that victim mindset, I really just rode the waves. When I felt down and sad and empty, I would rest. I would pour into myself. I would do something that my soul needed, whether it was chugging water or going outside to get some fresh air or taking some vitamins and supplements. And then when I was feeling that high, when I was feeling that energy, I did other things to fill my cup. I did a puzzle this weekend. I went outside and, walked around and got the fresh air and put my feet on Mama Earth, right? And I really just honored myself, my body, my mind, my spirit, to really overcome. And today, when I'm recording this, it's Sunday, and it's still getting better. Have I had moments where I have felt the edges of the shadows creeping back to the light? Yeah, I have felt that. But I've also continued to pour into myself. I spent time this morning washing my front door to cleanse the energy that's coming into my house, to attract new, vibrant energy in. I swept off my front porch, and I really set the intention of drawing in positive energy. And then I went in my room and I turned on a diffuser and added some really uplifting citrus oils that only continued elevating my mood. And today, I have been leaning into my tools and my resources a lot more. I did a meditation. I have really leaned into my one-line energy and done some investigating, some researching, learning new things, being lit up again by the things that I'm passionate about, listening to other people's human design podcast, right? All of these things light me up. And it's important that I find that balance between those things. And if you're in a place right now, because I know so many women that I've talked to over this last week have felt the same way that I have felt. And if you have felt this way the past week, the past few days, if you're still currently feeling that down, that sadness, just know that it's okay. It's okay to be here. It's okay to be in these emotions. And having the awareness that when you're ready to break out the flashlight, when you're ready to start shining light on these shadows and to start transmuting that darkness to light, you get to do that when you're ready. And it shouldn't be up to anyone else. It shouldn't be up to any outer authority, any personal development expert, any therapist, any coach. It's not up to anybody but you. You are your own authority, and you get to decide what is best for you. Sitting with those negative emotions help us gain the wisdom in life. It helps us become more appreciative of life. It helps us experience life to the fullest. So I will never sit here and say, snap out of it. It's in your head. Just get up and keep moving and work through it. Those words will never come out of my mouth to someone, because I am no one's authority but myself. And we have seen a lot over the past, several years of people stepping into authoritative positions. I mean, not to get political, but look back at when COVID happened. How spiritual leaders, how politicians, how doctors, how all of these experts and leaders in their own individual fields were having really big stances. Get the vaccine, don't get the vaccine. If you get the vaccine, you're a sheep and you're just following what the government says blindly. Or if you don't get the vaccine, you're this crazy conspiracy theorist whack job, right? There was such this division, and there is no expert, there is no authority that should have made that decision for you except for yourself. And we're moving into this paradigm, this new paradigm coming in 2027, where everything is so individualized. Thinking back over pretty much my entire lifetime, especially these last couple of years, everything has been so put into labeled boxes, right? Like, I'm straight, I'm bisexual, I'm asexual, I'm pansexual. And if you've noticed over the last several years, they've gotten more and more niche down. It went from heterosexual and homosexual to gay, lesbian, bisexual, to pansexual and asexual, to, all of these things. And I'm not saying, it's right or it's wrong to have these labels. I'm simply saying that we don't need the labels. What we need is to tap into our own authority and let our individualization shine, because our individualization is what makes us us. And there is no authority figure that has the right to sit here and say, oh, you should do this. Oh, you should be this type of person. Oh, that doesn't fit with who you're meant to be. Even in the human design world, hearing other people speak about how you have, a projector energy type, so you can't have a 9-to-5. That's not anyone's decision to make except that individual person, right? And so I don't know what the point of sharing this was, to be honest. I just really want to point out and bring awareness that no one gets to make decisions for you except you. And that is your God-given birthright. That is your innate privilege. Everyone has that privilege of making decisions for themselves, of deciding what is best for them, of what they want to do in life, of who they want to be in life. And it's not up to an authority figure to tell us. It's up to us. So, I highly recommend taking some time to reflect on yourself, get to know yourself. If you don't know who you are inside and out, if you feel like you've lost yourself, let this be the time to reconnect and to discover who you are. And human design is a powerful modality for that. It is so validating, and it really gives a language to things that you've known your whole life, right? It gives it a language of knowing what your inner authority feels like. What is your authority? Do you have emotional authority, sacral authority, splenic authority, self-projected authority? That is your inner authority, and that is the only thing that should be guiding you in this lifetime. Not the beliefs and opinions and thoughts of all of these quote-unquote leaders or experts. So, do what's best for you. Put yourself first, because when you put yourself first, you inspire so many other people to do the same. Even if it's a hard decision, even if it feels like everyone's going to hate you for your decision, I promise you, if you are staying true to yourself and making decisions based on your inner authority, you will see benefits from that. And who cares if it ruffles some tail feathers? It is not your job to make everyone else comfortable. It is your job to step into your soul self and to own your life and to experience your life in the way that feels good to you. So, I could go on and on and on about this. And the last thing that I want to say is, if you have been feeling down, if you have been feeling this imbalance, these crazy emotions, know that you're not alone. You're not alone. So many women I've had conversations with that has felt this way. And this past weekend, the full moon in Virgo happened. And the full moon in Virgo is all about learning to prioritize yourself, releasing negative self-talk, self-criticism, limiting beliefs, conditioned thoughts, conditioned beliefs, these self-sabotaging patterns. It's about releasing the things that are holding you back from experiencing the fullness of life, from stepping into your soul self. And once you release that, it's really about cultivating this self-love practice and really prioritizing yourself and your well-being. So finding that balance between pouring into yourself and also serving others. Hang in there, love. We are making it, and there are brighter days ahead. The sun is starting to shine a few minutes longer each day. The weather is hopefully starting to warm up where you live. I know it's starting to here. And before long, the birds will chirp, the grass will be green, the flowers will begin blooming, the trees will begin growing leaves again, and we'll get to experience that rebirth that nature does every single year. And if you're experiencing your winter right now, just know that your rebirth is coming. All you have to do is stay true to you and listen to your own inner authority. I'll chat with you on the next one. Thank you so much for joining me for another Mystika morning. I hope something in today's episode really resonated and created a spark inside you. I cannot wait to chat again soon, but in the meantime, you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Mystika Monarch and join the community in our private Facebook group, Discover Your Soul Self. Have a mystical day.